Hi everyone, welcome to the visual guide for the Cuff of the Father Savage. This guide assumes you have a general idea of the fight, and if you have absolutely no idea what you're doing, I recommend watching my normal guide first. Wiping in this encounter can induce waves of nausea, and in severe cases turn your significant others into widows. My god, that was painful. My name is Ms. Tech and I'll be your Savage Guide. A2 Savage has a total of 9 phases and a hard enrage of about 10 minutes and 30 seconds. The general concept of the encounter remains the same. The group will need to keep on top of each wave, dealing with each particular mob until all 9 phases are destroyed. How you handle each wave and what adds your group will prioritize is highly dependent on your own group's strengths and weaknesses. This guide will show you how our group handled each wave, but don't rely on it 100%. A fight like this is perfect for developing your own strategy, so don't be afraid to experiment if something you see in a guide just doesn't seem to work for you. You'll notice that this encounter allows for 3 Gobwalkers to be used, and their role is essentially the same. Players assigned to Gobwalkers will use them to remove bombs from the raid, put up vulnerability stacks, and stun mobs. Gobwalkers can also self-destruct now, allowing players to strategically use them to damage waves of adds and apply an extra Vuln stack. The encounter begins when we pull the first wave, these 2 lonely soldiers. Burn these down as quickly as possible. When a soldier reaches a certain low HP, it will attempt to set off bombs that will essentially wipe the raid. These should be killed or stunned immediately. The next wave will spawn 2 soldiers and 1 sniper in the same area, and 1 hardmind in the southwest corner. The hardmind, if allowed to cast, will place a buff on nearby enemy mobs that reduces their damage taken by magic. Since this can considerably slow down your AoE burn, it's recommended that you destroy this guy as soon as possible. You can do this by tanking the hardmind where he spawns and destroying him before focusing down the little pack, or if you're comfortable with your DPS, you can allow him to run to the group and burn him down while AoEing the soldiers and snipers. Again, play to your group's strengths. The snipers will do nothing but bombard their primary target with attacks. As these are dying, our assigned player will enter the first Gobwalker tank. The next wave will spawn a soldier, a sniper, and a hardmind in the north of the room, and a Hardhelm and a soldier in the southwest. This is the first wave we'll be using our Gobwalker to our advantage, and the assigned players should be ready and waiting here. We wait for the southwest Hardhelm and soldier to make it to the group, and then use the Gobwalker to stun everything. The Hardhelm will also cast a buff on any surrounding mobs, but he reduces physical damage taken. Prioritize these 2 mobs while you're AoEing the entire pack down. You want both the Hardhelm and the Hardmind to die within the Gobwalker stun, so they do not buff any of the other mobs. Finish off any remaining mobs and move to the center for the next wave. Wave 4 has 2 soldiers and 2 snipers spawning in the center of the room, with an enemy Gobwalker in the northeast corner. The center pack will be stunned and AoE down. The enemy Gobwalker is not affected by stun, so you don't have to wait for it to reach before stunning. The Gobwalker will place vulnerability stacks on its primary target, and should be killed as quickly as possible to avoid excess stacks on the tank. Remember that the player Gobwalker will be able to and should recharge some energy off of this Gobwalker when it reaches sub 15%, to have enough energy to stay in that Gobwalker until the end of Wave 6. Wave 5 will spawn a Gobwidow tank in the north, a Gobwidow tank in the southeast, and 2 soldiers in the southwest. We have the tank with vulnerability stacks grab the North Widow, while the second tank grabs the south adds, tanking them in the southwest. The raid will burn down the North Widow first. The Widows will mark up their primary target with prey, and after a short while will cast Boom Cannon, which will do damage to the target based on their HP at the time of cast. That means if healers keep their tanks topped off, the prey attack will essentially do little to no damage. Tanks should obviously help with cooldowns here. The south tank will also work on slowly chipping away at the soldier's health while the rest of the raid is focused in the north. The North Widow should be destroyed before the next wave spawns. Wave 6 will spawn a Hardhelm in the southwest and a Jagd Doll and Gobwalker in the north. The north tank will grab these 2, while the player Gobwalker will stun the Hardhelm and soldiers in the southwest. The raid will destroy this pack within the stun to ensure no buffs or soldiers' explosions go off. During this time, the north tank will obviously be gaining stacks from the enemy Gobwalker and suffering through the Jagd Doll's massive cleaves and heavy damage. We have our south tank bring the remaining Widow up to the north within cleave range, and have them provoke the Jagd Doll off the north tank at around 4 or 5 stacks. The raid will burn down the Gobwalker first to avoid excess stacks on the tank, before switching to the Jagd Doll and finally the last Widow. This is also the first time we allow our player Gobwalker to self-destruct on the remaining adds. They will then enter the second Gobwalker before the next phase spawns. Wave 7 has 4 Jagd Dolls spawning in the center of the room. Each tank will grab 2 dolls, facing them away from each other so as not to stack the cleaves. We tank them as close as possible to ensure high rate damage. We prioritize killing the off-tank dolls first and begin to move towards the southwest corner once the first one is destroyed. We do the just in preparation for the next wave. Ideally, you want both of the off-tank stalls dead before the next wave spawns. Wave 8 has 2 soldiers and 2 snipers spawning in the southwest corner, with a Hardhelm and Hardmind spawning across the room. The beginning of this phase can be quite tricky to get under control, so we'll take it slow. As soon as the wave spawns, we cover our white mage, who will indubitably gain hate on this pack through healing. The off-tank will grab the Hardhelm and Mind as soon as possible and stack them in the center of the pack, where they will be stunned by the player Gobwalker immediately. The raid will then AoE everything down, prioritizing the Hardhelm and Hardminds. We use 2 player Gobwalker stuns on this pack to ensure no buffs or soldier explosions go off. Once these are destroyed, we self-destruct our Gobwalker and finish off the remaining Jagd Dolls. This is the perfect time to regen mana and relax before the final phase. As soon as that last Jagd Doll dies, the next wave will spawn, so we begin to move towards the southeast of the room in preparation for the final phase. In phase 9, a Widow and Gobwalker tank will spawn in the north, and a Widow and Jagd Doll will spawn in the south. A pack of soldiers and snipers will also spawn in the southeast. Each tank will grab the set of mobs in either the north of the south and collapse into the southeast. The player Gobwalker will stun the soldiers and snipers as soon as they spawn, while the raid goes ham. Once everything is stacked in, use Mage Limit Break to help burn these down as fast as possible. You may need to stun twice here, depending on your AoE damage. We have the raid focus on the enemy Gobwalker, burning it down before the stacks on the tank become unmanageable. The raid then switches to the Jagd Doll to minimize damage on that tank. Then, burn down each Widow one at a time. Remember, there are no bombs in this wave, so the Gobwalker player can self-destruct on the last of these mobs and have that extra player damage to help meet the enrage. And there you have it. This encounter can get a little bit hectic in the later phases, but it's easy to get used to. Having all players pump out as much damage as possible is essential to victory, so optimize as much as you can. If you have any questions or comments, please let me know. As always, thanks for watching. Till next time.